back to Raff's Brain, a show about things that are interesting to me. I am your host, Rob Rafferty. Folks, it's time for another exciting episode of Drive and Jive. Yes, Drive and Jive. It has such a nice rhyming meter. Is that the right way to describe it? It's just a stream of content of the Raff's Brain podcast where I pontificate, elaborate, elucidate, etc. on a journey. I just kind of hit record and let it rip. And I'm on my way back from Buchanan, West Virginia, North Central 26201 to Arlington, Nova 22207. It's fascinating. Zip codes, baby, zip codes. As a concept, we don't really take time to think about how they came into existence. There is a science to it, that there's a certain number that signals the region of the country where you belong. And it's similar to area codes on the phone. Once you know it, once you kind of get a sense of it, it becomes a little bit of your identity. I've always been, not always, but predominantly I've lived in the first number of 2. 2 is a region. There are 9 regions. How many regions are there for a zip code? I think 9. If you're 9, you're probably on the West Coast. If you're 1, you're on the East Coast, Mid-Atlantic. Is there a 0? I don't know. There might be a 0 zip code. That might exist. Anyway, I've lived predominantly in the 2 region. 26201. That was Buchanan. 22207. That's Arlington. That's a part of Arlington. What's also kind of crazy is because of, the more urban and densely populated you get, the more variance you get in those later codes. And then there's this other crazy part of a zip code that the last 4 digits. And I've never known that. It's always occurred to me that that's a thing that exists. That gets hyper specific. I don't know where that goes or how they drill that down and who figures that out. But it's rarely asked. So I didn't commit it to memory. I think it's on auto-populate. I could be completely wrong about this. I don't want to mislead you. I believe my full zip code. If you had to press me, put a gun to my head and ask. Now, I don't know why you'd want to do this, but if you did, hypothetically, threaten my life and ask me to tell you my complete 9-digit zip code, I think it would be 22207-2011. That could be wrong. I think it's wrong, actually. I think it might be 1411. I don't know, but does anybody out there actually know their complete zip code by memory? How many numbers have you committed to memory? There's only so much you can handle up here. How many numbers? How many combinations of numbers do you have personally committed to your brain that you can recall on the spot? Your social security number. That was probably one of the first ones. No, the first one is your phone number. When you're growing up as a kid, you got to know your own phone number. And back in the day, before we had all the chaos, it was just a 7-digit number, 3 and 4. You had the area codes if you were calling long distance. Now you got to call area code for every number, which is a little, when that first hit the scene 20 years ago, it was intimidating. It was overwhelming. It was a little bit too much. Now it's just normal. And now you don't even remember numbers because you just got it all programmed in your phone. Back in the day, I used to know my friends' phone numbers with a relative degree of certainty. And I had probably a dozen or so people that I could call at any given time with confidence that I knew their number. And beyond knowing their number, which is a 7-digit number, again, this predates the area code requirement. So it was always 472 something, 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 something. 472 1919. That was my OG number back in the day. That was a great number. What a great fortune that we had as a family to be assigned such a strange but yet memorable number. 472 1919. It just rolls off the tongue. I had other buddies like 472 6905, 472 6562, 472 5030, I think was somebody. It's all coming back to me now, this sort of rush of unexpected thought as I'm on my drive here. 6399, 6905, I already said that. I got it all. It was the best part, the most memorable part, because I'm a musically inclined guy, audio capacities or whatever. I used to memorize the sound of the beeps. That was 472. Boop, boop, boop. 4 and 7 were very close in intonation. Doot, doot, doot. And then 1919 was pretty awesome. Doot, 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 doot. Doot, 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 doot. I used to know my other friends. Doot, 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 doot. That was 6562, which I think was Johann Samaritan Hastings Bach the Third. Doot, 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 doot. There was code H. 6905, I think. Am I crazy? I think that was it, bro. Anyway, all this aside, that was very unexpected. I'm just telling you, how many digits do we have in our brain? We have phone numbers, then you get Social Security. When you're like, I don't know, mid to late high school, someone shook me. Like, I think it was a teacher, my science teacher, Mr. Newman, I think, if I remember correctly. What do I even remember correctly is to be determined, because I think our brains are just jam-packed with all sorts of false memories. We fill in the gaps and we make things up and we hear something. I don't even know if this is true, but I feel like there was a moment in time, junior, maybe senior year of high school, where my science teacher grabbed me by the shoulders, both shoulders, and just shook me. He said, Raffy. He probably would have said Robby, because that was my name. And I tried to become Rob at some point. I wanted to become more adult. One syllable is so much stronger than 2 syllables when you're talking about being a grown-up. Rob, that has so much more authority and gravitas than Robby. Robby sounds like a little... However, I kind of want to go back to Robby, because I like Robby. Now as I get older, I actually am Robby to the core. That's my identity. I mean, I'm a fun-loving, chill, happy-go-lucky guy. Robby's a better reflection of my identity. My God, I can't believe I'm having this breakthrough on this episode of Drive and Jive. It's not uncommon for this to happen. I just start talking and things piece together really instrumental and important things. I need to rebrand myself as Robby Rafferty. Not Rob Rafferty. Who the hell's Rob? Remember this old... Gosh, this is so crazy. This popped into my brain. Oral-B. Is that a name of a toothbrush company? Does that sound right? Oral-B. Does that even still exist? I don't know. But there was a commercial back in the day of a dude. So it was very unique. I don't know why it just popped in my brain right now. He was standing facing a mirror, brushing his teeth, back of the head. You didn't see the guy's face. You just saw the back of the head, brushing his teeth in the shower or in the bathroom, you know. And the voiceover commentary said, "This is Rob. Rob is a dentist." And Rob acknowledges the voiceover, so it's not like this omniscient voice of God. It was more like, There was an awareness, right? Rob, this is Rob. Rob is a dentist, and he gestures up and says hello. Then he resumes brushing. Rob brushes his teeth with Oral-B. 2 out of 3 dentists use Oral-B toothbrush. I don't know if that's some statistic like that. Appeal to authority. That's a very popular technique in sales. And it stuck with me. It's like, Rob is a dentist. Therefore, you should go buy an Oral-B toothbrush. Okay. Back to this numbers question. How many strings of digits do you have committed to memory? So it was your phone number. Maybe it was some of your friends' phone numbers. But then at some point, Social Security. So I think Mr. Newman grabbed me one day in high school. He was like, Mr. Rafferty. Sometimes that's what teachers call you in high school. They want to treat you like an adult. But I suspect it was more like Robby. It's time that you memorize your Social Security number. It wasn't easy to remember that. That's a long number. That is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 4 is 9. 9 digits, bro. Now I got no problem. The other numbers you'd memorize are too, your combination locks. But I've long since forgotten those. You could take me back to my high school and take me to the combination. I could not pull it off, man. So you memorize numbers, they come and go. And historically, there were lots of number strings that we would memorize, right? Like birthdays, anniversaries, phone numbers, addresses, zip codes. As technology consumed that part of our brain and basically displaced the brain cells that function on those margins, I just wonder what those brain cells are up to these days. Just my ability to recall my Social Security number, those dudes are there. They're active, man. They're aware. I don't use it that often, but, probably a couple times a month I'm asked for my Social Security number for something. I don't know what that might be. But it's a great recall. Bam, 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 I'm on it. Those brain cells are ready to hop to. They have been conditioned and trained. They're just like OG brain cells crushing that job. They do one thing and they do it great. They specialize in Social Security number recall. And I never struggle with that. It's not like I forget or what's that second number? No, I just know it. I'm not going to tell it on this channel, obviously, but yes, I know it very well. No problems. Those guys are on point. They haven't been murdered yet. They haven't been taken over or consumed by technology the way that others have. Like phone numbers, man. I got probably 500 people in my phone book, and do I know anybody's phone number that I could credibly just dial it? This is terrifying. The answer is probably not. The answer for the vast majority of it is absolutely not. Maybe a few people that I could actually dial. When's the last time you dialed a phone number into a phone? Other than when you were getting it from somebody and you met them, hey, give me your digits or whatever. When's the last time you physically dialed a number? Has it been years? Has it been more than a decade? What happens to the brain cells that used to have accountability for that part of your life? They are probably unemployed. Are they on, disability? What are they doing up there? Did they get repurposed? Have they retooled? Have they reinvented themselves in midlife to take on other tasks that didn't exist 20 years ago? Like recording a podcast. Maybe, I'm just speculating, maybe some of the brain cells that used to be involved in rote memorization of my friends and family's telephone numbers have been repurposed and retrained to get involved in the steps that are required to freestyle converse in an episode of Raff's brain, Drive, and Jive. That's quite a career pivot. To go from rote, digit memorization, recall, to improvisational, spontaneous, stream of consciousness style entertainment. So congratulations, man, you made the move. Not many people are adept at such a thing. I mean, if you are my social security digits, you were lucky. You just stayed on the job and you stayed on task. And you're probably going to have that for the rest of your life. That's never going to change. What a job. Like, they got the brass ring, dude. Is that the thing? Is that what it's called? The brass ring? Why do we even call it that? Is it a gold ring or the brass ring? It's like, I got the highest, best possible job I could ever get right out of college. Actually, it was before college. At the very end of high school, those brain cells have been recalling my social security number for the past, how old am I now? 50 minus 18 is what? Or whatever the difference is there. 32 years? Are they collecting a pension? I mean, God, that's a long time to work, man. A single job, all you do. Whenever I think about it, whenever I need it, you gotta be ready. It's like they're on call, man. They're on call. Does that mean they can't relax? They're always tense and anxious because they're like, whenever Rafferty needs that social security recall, we gotta provide, we gotta deliver, man. We cannot mess it up. So that means they can't be out partying, they can't have late nights, you know, at private room karaoke. All the fun things other brain cells get to do when I'm out and about. They have to be responsible at all times. Maybe they're stressed out. That must be a heck of a life, man. Maybe I need to give those guys a break. I could type my social security number into the notes of a digital app on my phone. I could speak it and have it upon recollection. I could have AI take over and give those guys a break. Do you understand the type of bender they would go on? Like, those brain cells would be so excited. They have never had a day off in 32 years. Imagine you haven't had a day off in 32 years. Where would you go? Would you be booking your trip to Vegas? Would you be going to the beach? Would you just be going down to your local bar and hang? I mean, where would you go? What do you do for fun? Would you even understand what fun is at that point? You've never experienced it. I don't know if these guys ever experienced it. Well, anyway, I had a good trip back to West Virginia. It was been about less than a week, maybe about 5-6 days, something like that. Good times. My niece is in her spring of a senior year of high school. Man, remember that? Remember that time? What a time to be alive. You're so naive, and you don't even understand that level of stupidity. But yet you're so, I don't know, for me, I was excited about the future. And I don't know that I have that same sense. You can't impose your own memories on a relative in that respect, but, you know, I have a bit of a recollection of what it was like, the anticipation. It's a lot you're going through, and your big transformations are afoot. She's going to play college lacrosse, dude. Division II, University of Charleston. Very proud of that. That's cool, man. No, you know, Raffertys aren't typically athletically inclined. I played soccer. I rode the pine mostly. Anyway, she's pretty impressive. She's a very fit person. She runs. If anything, she might be a little too fit. Is that a thing? Like, she exercises daily. She's doing all sorts of crazy calisthenics, cardio, weights. I'm like, dude, just, I hope you have some fun in life. I hope you don't just focus on your health and wellness to the exclusion of recreation. There's a balance. Maybe. I don't know. She seems to be excited about the future. That's a good thing. You want to be excited. You want to be amped up. I think a lot of kids at that age, they get overwhelmed, and then they just kind of get in a rut, versus embracing their youth and opportunity to go test, learn, fail dramatically at so many different things. Like, please, if you're a young person and you're listening to this, which I know is highly unlikely that anybody's listening to this that will benefit from anything that I say on this show, but I do want to make sure I just get it out there. If you happen to be a younger person listening to this episode, I promise you there's a greater possibility of regret for the things you don't do versus regret for the decisions you make. I mean, I don't know if that's true. That probably depends on the decision, quite honestly. But I would hope that you would get out there and give it a shot. If you have any ambition, any aspiration, anything you're curious about. By the way, that wisdom or whatever I'm trying to impart here, which is very risky to even try to read anything that's actionable or useful about this show, but I don't think it's exclusive to young people. I think more human beings on planet Earth should be living their life and doing the things they want to do, that they have an interest or curiosity. And you know what that is? This little yearning or calling, this little voice within you. Let's try this. No. Then you're easily get succumbed by the practical side, by the status quo, and then that gets reinforced by society, which doesn't want anyone to ever take any risks or try something different. My gosh, don't step out of line. You know, like that's bananas to me. So I hope that she's going to major, I think, in nursing. That's a great discipline. I feel like of all of the fields you get into these days, healthcare is definitely one on the rise. And I just think all these technologies are going to start massively disrupting the world in a good way, and in a way that like has historically happened for humans. The common kind of analogy might be tractors. At a certain time, you know, enormous majorities of humans were involved in agriculture. And then technology came, and now it's like a really small percentage of the population that do that for a living. And does that mean like people stop working, no, we got new jobs, we figure new things out. There's always something new to pursue. There's new work to be had. I believe the same thing is true for all this technology and disruption with artificial intelligence. And it is, just as it will help and create value for lots of people, it will also transform what work looks like. But in the healthcare field, I just think you're always going to need some caretaker type role. Nursing can be like a leveled up. A nurse with AI support is going to be lethal. And actually, I would say the people that are threatened more aren't the immediate, like, bedside caretakers, but the real kind of thoughtful experts, like the doctors. Because if you have AI that is as smart as a doctor alongside a nurse or nurse practitioner, I don't know, man. What's the medical doctor going to be? Like, as a general practitioner, maybe the AI ekes that out. But I just think you're always going to need like that hands-on bedside manner or whatever. So anyway, by the way, I even say that you just need to slow your roll. You don't know what you want to do with your life. it will be figured out over time. There will be a lot of things that happen. You will take action. Things will happen to you. The world will evolve. You must be, among all else, flexible, resilient, transformative, embracing of change. The most important attribute any person can have nowadays is flexibility and the willingness to learn new things and to not get stuck in their ways. Like, oh, this is the way we always did it. This is the way I live. This is the way I know how things work. No, man. This is the pace of change is only going to accelerate if we let it. Now, there are forces of resistance. They might want to shut all this down. Let's just put a moratorium on. What are you talking about? The genie's out of the bottle. You can't put it back in. I wonder about that phrase, though. I wonder if you could put a genie back in the bottle. The genie got in the bottle somehow. This is a real interesting thought. Do genies live in their bottle their entire existence until they're let out? I don't think that's how it works. I think the genie was out doing stuff and someone captured him and put him in a bottle until the bottle gets discovered and someone opens it up and you get 3 wishes. And then the genie's let out and about again. The genie's out of the bottle. I always assumed, I don't know why. This is a very interesting thought. I mean, I don't know if it's interesting, it's just weird. It's just something that came to my mind. When I had always assumed a genie in a bottle, I always assumed they were captured and put in the bottle. That's just like it's an assumption. That's like my starting point for any genie story. I feel like there's some backstory. That genie was captured and kidnapped. A lot of times I think it's a bad, nefarious backstory. Like, oh man, that poor genie. They were living life and someone didn't like that and they went out and they snatched them up and put them in a bottle, put a cork in it, chuck it in the ocean. Where do you find bottles with genies in them? Usually in the pyramids or on an island. Don't ask me why, I'm just telling you where my mind goes, all right? Actually, I don't think the pyramids are known for genie bottles. I feel like the pyramids are known more for sarcophaguses. Sarcophagi, is that the plural? What is the plural term for sarcophagus? I bet it's sarcophagi. It can't be sarcophaguses. That sounds like snuffleupagus. Sarcophaguses, no. Sarcophagi. Is that even the right word? I'm talking about where the mummies live, bro. Where the mummies live. Mummies. Whoa, this guy's in the middle of the street. Hey. As I'm pulling off the exit, some dude is like walking down the street. What you do you, man. I'm just glad I didn't hit you. Oh, what a great ride home. Sometimes you have that, dude. You have a great ride. It's a smooth ride. There's no problems. The traffic is pretty light. It's early. I left early to get home early, put in a full day of work, get some action, do some things I got to do, and then carry on. What's going on here? We got left or we going right? What are we doing? The one thing about when I arrived to DC in the morning, and it's about 9 o'clock, it's a little bit past rush hour, but there's still people out here driving like freaking maniacs. They're in a rush to get somewhere, and I don't know where. Where are you going? You're going to work. You're late for work. If you haven't gotten to the office yet, and it's 9:08, you're probably late. Therefore, you're making bad decisions. You're bobbing. You're weaving. You're going pedal to the metal in a suburban neighborhood where the speed limit is 30. I understand that's frustrating. 30 seems at least 20 miles below what it should be. But still, you You gotta pay attention. You gotta adhere. So anyway, I had an interview with my niece recently. I hope you'll check that out. It was Riffing with Raff. That's the segment of content on Raff's Brain where I interview friends, family, loved ones, and that was a good one. Just catching up with her. She's been a guest on the show before. And then I also had a great interview with a gentleman named Bryce III. So if you happen to have made it this far into the Drive and Jive, I hope you will check out other episodes of the show. It's quite varied, the types of content. We have Drive and Jive, which is, you get what is on my mind for a set period of time. There's also Walk and Talk. It's a similar version. It's very stream of conscious. It's very unpredictable. You never know where I'm going to go with that. Just like hit record, let it rip. Then there's the Riffing with Raff interviews. Those are fun and always unpredictable and weird, and you never know where those are going to go. And those are, sometimes they're frequent. Sometimes it's like I go for weeks without interviewing people. It's very haphazard. It's very opportunistic. But as I was mentioning, I just released an episode of an interview with my niece. I just released an interview with a fascinating guy named Bryce III, who's a content creator, an influencer, and all-around inspirational force for good. Up in the Detroit area, we met through work a few years ago. We stay in touch, and I admire him immensely. I'm grateful that we had that chance to catch up, and hopefully there's some value for that. And then, what else? Got some issues here. There's hot yoga problems. I haven't been able to get some hot yoga problems episodes. The hot yoga problem episodes I record on my way home from hot yoga. It's like a post-hot yoga reflection. Typically 10 to 12 minutes, which is the length of my commute to my local studio. I don't know where I'm going with any of these shows or episodes or bits of content. I'm just having fun with it. I'm grateful that you're here. I'm grateful that my tens of loyal friends and fans and followers and what do I call the 4 F's? Family, friends and family, fans and followers. So I gotta get the ordered sequencing. There's probably like a sequencing to it. But I'm pretty sure that most people who listen to this show are people that I've known for a while. It's not like you're totally new and quote unquote fan. I don't even like that word. No one's a fanatic. No one's a Raff's Brain fanatic. I listen to every episode. I've got it all on, on my playlist, and I can't wait to download it when it comes out. I don't think I've achieved that level, which is it's really understandable, because why would you, But if you do, I appreciate you. I think mostly it's going to be friends and family, some followers, some fans. And man, my neighborhood is changing. And this is normal. Like I said, everything changes. Check this out, bro. Look at this house. It's so cool. It's like a new triple layer bonanza coming up. That used to be a little squatty house like mine, a little one level. So it's pretty wild to see how that happens, Neighborhood's changing. I'm the last little runt house on the block. One level. We have a great basement. That's the money that no one sees from the outside. Okay, this has been fun. What a fun way to close out the ride. And I made it here in record time. I left at like 6 o'clock. It's only 9:13. I must have been cooking down the street. So thank you for being here for the latest episode of Raff's Brain Drive and Jive. That was a fun one. I can't wait to summarize that on ChatGPT and see what the key insights and takeaways were. I'm going to be doing some fun recording over the weekend. I'm a mentor in a program from Marginal Revolution University, MRU.org. Check it out. Econ education to the max. They've identified some high school and college kids who are economically inclined and want to become like communicators of these ideas, which to me is probably the most important talent any economist or economically inclined, classical liberal, whatever you want to call it. It's got to get out there. We got to talk more. We got to communicate more. So in their infinite wisdom, MRU invited me to be a mentor to a couple of these students. We're going to have a weekend program. We're going to talk about stuff. I'm going to have to explain why I'm there, which is a mystery relative to some of the other extraordinary professionals, filmmakers, podcasters, and such. I think my ethos is a good thing to weave into this, but I would put myself at the lower end of the spectrum in terms of my competence and professionalism. But I like that. That's kind of like what I bring: a little bit of grit and grime and dirt to the gloss. You know what I'm saying? Mix them together, and that's when you get the magic. So hopefully that'll be fun. I'll do some interviews with my mentees. I'm going to actually, they don't even know this yet. Part of the reason I accepted the invitation, it's non-compensated. It's just a fun opportunity for the next, 6 months, or I don't even know what I've committed to. I just said yes. I know the people that run the show. I'm a fan. MRU.org. Tyler Cowan and Alex Tabarrok's educational wing of Marginal Revolution. The blog, which is among the most popular economics blogs in the world. So it's an honor to be a part of it. But I'm going to document this weekend. I'm going to get content. I'm going to have interviews with different mentors and fellows. And we're going to have a blast. I'm going to put all that content on Raff's brain. They might not know it yet. I told the guy who runs this thing, awesome dude named Roman Hardgrave. Roman, when he invited me, I'm like, I'm in for this. But I said, buddy, I'm going to make content out of this experience because I think more people need to know about it. It's a very competitive application process. Any high school, I think it's like junior, senior high school or early undergrad, maybe grad student. I don't even know what the actual demographic is of the composition of the fellows. But I'm very excited to meet them, to learn about their projects. A lot of them want to do things like podcasts, Substacks, social media, influencer type stuff. I'm all for it. I think we're in a time when we need more of this stuff. More expression of ideas that matter about a free and open society, and what are the kind of ingredients to that? What's under threat from current norms, whims here in the DC area, or even federal state governments and such. And then what about the cultural instincts to control versus empower? How do we really make sure that we retain what I would say is a real important part of that American ethos, that shared identity that unites all of us, captured in the Declaration, right? I mean, this is, to me, very, very fundamental to what it means to be an American. Freedom, openness, opportunity, entrepreneurship, free enterprise, the ability to try and fail and succeed, or what's the opposite of success? Not succeed. But that the virtue is being in the arena. Every person has that right, and just that's what makes us unique as a nation. Hopefully we don't lose that. But it's beyond the legal and regulatory apparatus. It's really a cultural. What I'm thinking about is, how do we strengthen that within our culture, so people are generation after generation primed to be forward thinking, entrepreneurial, adaptive, community focused, all the cool stuff about this country that I would say is grounded in a lot of the ideas of our founding: equal rights, mutual benefit, create value for yourself and others, etc., etc. There's a lot of ways to think about it. Anyways, we're going to have a blast this week. I'm going to document the heck out of it on some of my social channels. And you can follow along there. You can come back to Raff's Brain in the future. I'll have some interviews from the various fellows. And maybe over the course of 6 months, or however long this experience is, we'll learn together something about the value of a program like this, fellowship, that can help empower and level up some of the next generation of classical liberal thinkers and communicators. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good time for me. I'm going to share it here. We'll see if it's a good time for you. All right, folks, thank you for being here. I got to hop into the house and start a work day. It's a full work day ahead of me. So wish me luck on that front. Thank you so much for being here. See you next time on Raff's Brain.